philosophy car. Malcolm, Arnold, and Covert Ops. I met Malcolm on Telegraph in Derby. He was a homeless guy. Every time I'd see him, he'd be walking down the street, and he'd have his bucket, be sitting on his bucket. He'd see me and he'd smile. And every single time, no matter what, he would say, "A little help?" And, sometimes I would give him $1, sometimes I wouldn't, depending on if I could or my mood or whatever. And whenever I did give him $1, he'd do this thing where he'd shake his right fist. He'd put his right hand into a fist and he'd just shake it, like, right on, man, right on. $1 here, $1 there. Conversations that were short. "Hey, how's it going?" "Good." There wasn't really much there between us, just the look and the fist pump. And sometimes he would do the fist pump even if I didn't give him $1. Not always, but sometimes. Right on, man, right on. Good day to be alive. Good day to be breathing. And then one day, Malcolm, I gave him $1, and Malcolm, he stopped and he looked at me and he said, "I want to tell you something, man." And I was kind of taken aback because I wasn't used to, like, really interacting with him. And he said, "I wrote this poem a long time ago, and I want to tell it to you." I said, "Okay, Malcolm, I'd love to hear your poem." And I expected him to reach into his pocket or turn the bucket over and pull out some tattered piece of paper, with grease marks and food stains and blood and spit on the paper. And then he would recite the poem to me. But that's not what happened. He just launched right into it. "When I die tomorrow, I hope you remember our conversations. The ones that dig so deep as to expose the man you are and the soul I am. Not to the world, but to each other, as friends and men that were willing to dig this deep. Deep enough for wounds to bleed, deep enough for pains to air, deep enough for hearts to heal, deep enough for this day to cry and smile and say, 'I knew my friend well enough to dig so deep together. Dig me deep into the ground. Dig me far above the sky. Dig me forevermore.'" I smiled, and for the first time ever, I gave Malcolm his fist shake. And I turned around and walked away. I haven't seen Malcolm since that day. Friends. It's a very short word with a long lateral line of space and meanings and degrees. We've all heard the cliches and words to describe such a broad term. One dictionary defined a friend as a person who you like and enjoy being with. I like that description. It's as broad as the line I described. 5 seconds of enjoying your time in line with the cashier at your grocery store, or 30 years of being around Emily from middle school, that cute girl you had a crush on and became friends with, and she is still here for you when you pick up the phone and call her in Biloxi, her 3 kids screaming in the background as you chat away easily together. 5-second friends, or friends for life. A friend is a friend, even when somehow something twists and it ends in pain or anger and never a word spoken again. A friend is still forever because you existed and liked and enjoyed being with them. I never had an imaginary friend. I have friends that have had them. I have a particular friend that grew up with Arnold, her imaginary friend. Arnold was a fat kid, older than my friend Lacey. He was a teenager with dimples, red hair, and a lisp. When Lacey was 5, Arnold tried to teach Lacey about the ways of the world. But since he was imaginary, he could only go so far. You would think an older teenage boy would tell you about sex, warn you about bullies, and generally fill you in on the next 10 years or so of your life. But he didn't inform Lacey of anything. Arnold only played dress-up, or marbles, or hopscotch. Arnold was her best friend, forever. And when her parents made Arnold go away, Lacey cried and cried and cried. I was a DJ on a college radio station in 1990. On November 11th, I barricaded myself in the station and read articles about the Gulf War. I played protest songs, read poetry, read articles about the war. I recited Twain's The War Prayer on air. The program director, Pete, called me immediately after I was done with the war prayer to tell me to stop, that I couldn't do what I was doing. It wasn't in the program. I hung up on him. 15 minutes later, he was banging on the door, trying to get into the station, trying to stop me. I held the station's microphone up to the door and aired the banging and screaming and curse words. Pete was incensed. I was smiling amidst the chaos and the heaviness of my subject matter. I felt as if I was making a statement. I, for one, or maybe 2 or 3, was not particularly happy with the events that were taking place at that time. Living in Indiana at the time, I was a micro minority on this subject. I hijacked the station. I admit it. I did and said what I thought needed to be said. Then I calmly opened the door and let the next DJ in to play his punk hardcore show entitled Disaster Area. Let the destruction begin. Ian's show kicked ass and was a perfect segue from my peaceful, non-violent poetry reading, protest music playing, anti-war, subdued rant of the previous 4 hours. The next day, my friend Wade and I were drinking a few beers at the Silver Dollar. Wade put down his beer and said to me, "Did you accomplish anything?" I responded with an, "I don't know." "It may all be feckless," Wade said. I love how my friend Wade seeks out words in his reading and then applies them in daily life. Feckless? Really? Did you just say feckless? Jesus, I like that word. Who drops feckless into a conversation? Especially in Indiana. We sat in silence pondering the fecklessness of my previous night's protest, when George, a photographer friend of ours, walked in and sat with us. We gave him a cold one from our bucket of beers. He said, "Heard your show. Entertaining. Did you accomplish anything? Did anyone tape it?" "Oh, damn." "No," I said. "Well, nothing lasts if it's not documented," George said. We liked George, but he could be arrogant and pretentious sometimes. With his damn camera, documenting real life for the local paper. At that point, I got up and left, making some excuse about being drained and tired from the previous night. When I got home, I couldn't sleep, thinking about documenting things, making something last, making an impression. I finally fell asleep. But when I woke up in the morning, I had an amazing vision of what to do. What to do next. And I filled Wade in on the details over breakfast and asked him if he would help me with my plan. Lest we forget. Plaques on all 4 sides of the monument, sitting on the courthouse in the middle of the square, the county courthouse in this town, this small town in Indiana. Lest we forget is exactly what I was trying to do. I wasn't going to forget my father. I wasn't going to forget my grandfathers, my great-grandfathers, my great-great-great-grandfathers. And so, Wade and I walk into Gailey's Hardware. And whenever Wade walks into a hardware store, he stops. He doesn't quite close his eyes. And he pulls in the scents of the wood and the wooden bins that hold the nuts and the bolts, and the smell of the chalk you put in a chalk line, and the smell of the fly paper that Mr. Gailey sells and is hanging in his store, and the smell of everything. And Wade doesn't realize that he's stopping and taking these things in. But I see him, I watch him, and he does. Dead in his tracks, stops. And for a while I didn't know why. Why does Wade stop? Why is he doing that, you know? And then after knowing my friend for a while, I found out that his father owned a hardware store when Wade was growing up. And then I understood why my friend would stop. And this particular day, we went to Gailey's Hardware because I had hatched a plan. We needed nuts and bolts. We needed fishing line. We needed a big white sheet. We needed some green spray paint. We needed some metal tubing. Maybe some brake line. And we were in the hardware store figuring out how to make this thing that I had in my head come to fruition. To make it portable so that two young men could put this together quickly and easily, but it had to be big when it was put together. So we stood there in Gailey's Hardware explaining to Mr. Gailey that we needed these things, and he looked at us like we were crazy, like, what are you guys doing, man? What are you doing? We couldn't tell him. We could only vaguely give him the information and say, hey, we need, 12 feet of brake line that we can tie together, and some fishing line and some sinkers so that we can throw the fishing line up and over something that, might be 40 feet tall. We need a sheet. We need green spray paint. And he's like, I don't know. Here, I'll help you guys. Here's all the stuff you need. So we gathered everything together, and we go home, and we lay it all out, and we devise this ingenious device that's portable, that two white dudes who think that they're doing this covert op can drive their cars from their house close to the courthouse and get out of the car and take the stuff and put it all together really fast in an alleyway 3 or 4 blocks away from the courthouse, because we don't want to do it right by the courthouse. We got to be really covert about it and down low, and wearing our black sweatpants and our black shirt and black long sleeve shirts and black hats, black ski caps. It was ridiculous. Black paint on our face. So silly. We should have just went and robbed the bank, because, that's what it looked like we were doing, actually. But we weren't. We were just gonna take this big giant white sheet with a big giant peace symbol that we had painted on it. Green peace symbol we painted on a white sheet. And we were gonna hang it over the war memorial. And we called George. We told him about our plan. 3 o'clock in the morning, man. We're gonna be in the alleyway. We're assembling this thing. We're gonna run down the alleyway. We're gonna throw a fishing line up and over the monument. We're gonna pull this thing up. There's gonna be a giant peace sign hanging on top of the war memorial. You need to get there at 3 o'clock and take a picture of it. And George is like, now you're doing something. Now you're documenting it. I'll put it in the front page of the paper. Peace activists hang peace sign on war memorial downtown. And there'll be a picture front center, first page. So we do it, man. We do it. We put the thing together. We run down the alleyway. It takes us 3 or 4 times to throw the sinker that's tied to the fishing line up and over the monument. We get it up and over. We tie the thing off. We take the brake lines and we put them all together. We hang the sheet off the brake lines. At the bottom of the sheets are some sinkers so that the sheet will hang down nice and flat and firm. We throw it up and over. We pull it over. And it's hanging there. And it's a thing of beauty. It's a big, giant, king-size sheet hanging over the soldier with a gun in his hand. And it's a peace sign. And we run back down the alley. We jump in our car and we go home. And we're so happy we did something. We said something. We accomplished something. We documented it because our friend George took a picture of it. Next day, we wake up. We're like, yeah, we gotta go get the paper. Excited. Paper comes out at what? Noon, 1 o'clock. We go get the paper. Nothing. We figured, okay, maybe he missed the deadline. Maybe it'll be in tomorrow's paper. Next day, go get the paper. Nothing. We call our friend George. George, no picture on the paper. Did they deny you? Are they, you're anti-war, we're anti-war. Are they pro-war? They're not letting you print this? I fell asleep, man. What? George? You fell asleep? You could have slept and then set your alarm and gotten up and gone take... No? You fell asleep. I fell asleep. That's it. No documentation of what happened. No documentation. We don't know how long the thing lasted. Maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, all night. Nobody took a picture of it. Cops probably drove by and took it down. It never happened. It never happened. It wasn't documented. But my friend Wade and I, we did something. Became better friends from that experience. The outcome wasn't what we wanted, but I enjoyed my time doing this with my friend. The Philosophy Car, Episode 3. Malcolm, Arnold, and Covert Ops. This episode was written and narrated by Jody Constantine. The theme song, Our Quiet Fighter, by Grackle, was inspired by Draker's Sweet Pea and Dr. Martin Luther King. 3 black cats that fought, scratched, and clawed to live, love, and dream forever. The Philosophy Car is produced in Berkeley, California by Regent Hill Media.